So we're getting ready to make our pallet garden. We have our pallet, of course. We have our organic soil, and we have at least 16 types of vegetables and herbs that we are going to use to plant into our garden. We purchased weed block, and so that it can act as the ground on our pallet. We're going to staple it with our staple gun to make our garden. So now we are cleaning off the pallet just to make sure there's no pesticides or anything on the pallet. So that's how we make sure we do before we start any work. Now we're ready to lay the landscaping fabric on the back side of the pallet. So that's the side with the larger openings. And we're preparing a stapler. Mommy's preparing a stapler so that we could staple the fabric to the back of our pallet, and then we'll determine whether we need to do a second layer. Now we have placed the fabric on the edges because the outside part, the outside piece is open right here. So we covered it up with the fabric, and now we're going to staple it with a staple gun, heavy duty staple gun, and go ahead and begin to we have finished stapling the fabric onto the pallet. It's not beautiful. It's our first time doing this DIY project, but we did secure it onto the back of the pallet really well. Okay, and notice how we did it on the top, so there's no opening on the sides. So we found a nice spot in the backyard that's flat, that gets a lot of sunlight, and that will be easy for us to water. Wonderful husband poured some of the soil on top of the pallet, and so now I'm starting to spread it out in between the pallet slides. Another way I probably could have did this was before I stapled the edges, I could have poured the soil on the inside at a slight slant, but did it this way. So spreading it on out, we're going to pour some more until it's filled up. Okay, so we've completed our garden with our DIY pallet. This was a very cost-effective project. We only spent about $34, and that's because we didn't have a staple gun. With the staple gun, this is only about a $15 project, and that was for our fabric, our landscaping fabric. So just borrow a staple gun, and overall the project is about $15, and that doesn't include the herbs and vegetables and soil. But it still is a great DIY project for a first-time gardener, and for anyone who doesn't want to dig up their grass and tear up their yard. This may be a solution for you to do an above-ground garden. The pallet is free, so we are very pleased with the product. Thank you so much for watching.